Hi, everyone, and welcome. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with the Hall of Famer Brian Westbrook. It's our self-scout presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers, and we want to tell you, first of all, happy holidays and happy New Year to everyone. And it is a happy New Year. Brian, the Eagles are going to the playoffs, and nobody would have seen this coming 6 weeks ago.
Nobody saw this coming except for the guys in the locker room, the guys upstairs in this building that had confidence in themselves, and I am so happy as an Eagles alumni and Eagles fan just to have our team back into the playoffs.
All right, we're here to talk about the Eagles offense, specifically against the Washington Redskins on Sunday. Just a total domination by the Eagles. Brian, this was a classic example of do what you want.
Yeah.
Short passing, run the football, possess the football. More than 40 minutes of offensive possession for the Eagles. It was textbook football from an offensive standpoint.
You know, what would have made me so happy about this game, and I understand, you know, the Redskins are not a very good football team. We understood that they weren't going to come out and score 30, 40 points against us. We understood that. So for us at this point, we're trying to get into the playoffs, and we need to prepare for the playoffs right now in this Redskins football game. And when you look at the last couple of games, we put up a bunch of points, over 30 points for those last two games, and we did it differently. We had big throws down the field. We had some big-time plus 20-yard plays. But this game, just like in a lot of playoff games, you need to have extended drives. You need to have long possessions. You need to really control the clock. Our football team won this game offensively in a different way than they had in the past. That was the most impressive thing for me. And when we talk about the playoffs, you want to keep some of these high-powered offenses off the field? Well, how do you do that? Control the ball on your side of the ball. Have the time of possession in your favor. Our offense is now seeing they can win that way. That was the most impressive thing for me.
This is exactly what I wanted to talk about. The big picture here. The Eagles, 5 wins in 6 weeks, down the stretch, doing it in a variety of ways offensively. On Sunday, end of the first half, the Eagles go on a ridiculous 12-minute drive, 89 yards. Brian, it was amazing watching them move the sticks. Very patient, very meticulous, very precise. I wonder if you're Doug Peterson putting this game plan together for the Chicago Bears, and we'll talk about them a little later in the week. You got all kinds of options now. You know you can go deep. You know you can have the intermediate game with the tight ends, and you know the short passing game and the run game is there.
You had a balanced offensive approach. And listen, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, the Redskins were a very good football team. So this is not a terrible football team on the defensive side of the ball. You had a balanced approach, and just like you're talking about, now you have confidence moving forward. We can hurt you in our short game. We can get the backs out of the backfield catching the football. We can run the ball right down your throat, and then we can have some big plays down the field. Offensively, when you look at this team, now as a defense, you're saying, we had a lot of things to worry about in a week's time. We have to make sure that we slow down everything about this Philadelphia Eagles offense. It's exciting to watch.
It was fun on Sunday. So the press box at FedEx Field is horrible. It's in the end zone, no. So I came down, I watched the game from the sidelines, and we had a little monitor watching the Bears and the Vikings, and we're watching the Eagles and the Redskins in front of 40,000 Eagles fans on the road. It was remarkable, and thank you all Eagles fans for another amazing performance. But along the course of the game, somebody came up to me and said, Nick Foles has just completed 25 straight passes. I'm like, really?
Right.
Like, it was just such a surgical, precise, just a matter-of-fact way of going about the offense. That's the way Nick has become.
And it's weird because Nick doesn't celebrate after completing the ball. He doesn't do anything fancy. He just goes out and does his job, dinks and dunks, and throws the ball down the field, throws a big ball down the field to Alshon. He goes up and catches that. And when you talk about accuracy, you're talking about guys having confidence in you. When you're completing 83% of your passes in a football game, it's almost impossible to do. Nick Foles did a great job of commanding that offense. Of course, he had the interception early, but he came back and showed you what a real champion is all about, led this offense down the field, a lot of scoring.
Brian, I really like what the Eagles are doing in the offensive backfield. They got Wendell Smallwood going again against Washington. Josh Adams had some big runs. Darren Sproles mixing it up in there. So even in the backfield, as you kind of figure out what you want to do against the Bears, the Eagles have a different way to go. They can go with the power of Josh Adams, the kind of the elusiveness, the shiftiness of Wendell Smallwood, and then you go with the burst and the quickness of Darren Sproles.
When you're playing against good defenses like the Bears defense, you want to give them a lot of different things to think about. Is it a run? Is it a pass? Is Sproles in to run the football? Is he going to catch the ball out of the backfield? Is it a screen? When you have dynamic pass rushers like Khalil Mack, you want to make sure that they are not solely focused on getting after the quarterback. That's why when you go out there and you're talking about the short game, Nick Foles, get the ball out of your hands quickly. He's done all of these things, and he can do it confidently. And when you talk about getting ready for the playoffs, build that confidence little by little, get your team prepared to play. That's what we've done over these last 3 weeks.
Do you think, Brian, in these last 6 games, 5 wins, the offensive line has stepped up its game?
Played much better. You're talking about early on in the season, you're giving up sacks, too many pressures, quarterback not getting the ball out as quickly. I think Jason Peters has gotten healthy miraculously at playing better at an older age, done a great job. Lane Johnson, after not getting into the Pro Bowl, has said, I'm going to go out there and show you that I'm the best right tackle in the game. Wisniewski has shored up that offensive line. Jason Kelsey continues to be the guy that he's always been. And Brandon Brooks is a Pro Bowl player, one of the best guards in the game. And all playing together, you put all 5 of those pieces together, you're talking about one of the better offensive line playing currently. And it started as a weakness of this team. Now it's a big-time strength. Win in the trenches in December and January. That's how you go on in the playoffs. Our football team is winning there.
And in the pass game, I've got to do a little shout-out, if I can, to Nelson Agholor. He had 5 catches, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. And his numbers are very comparable to what they were a year ago. I just feel like this year, Agholor hasn't been used enough in the offense. So it's good to see him heading into the postseason on a little bit of a roll here. I think Nelson Agholor is an X factor for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got the speed to go vertical. Mike Wallace, I think, nice addition. A shame that he's been hurt all year. I don't see the need to really add him to this offensive mix. I think you want to use Nelson Agholor, Golden Tate, and Alshon Jeffrey. I like that 3-man rotation.
Nelson gives you that big play potential. He can take a 5-yard pass and take it 70 yards. He has that type of speed. And now with Nick in, Nick is willing to give him those one-on-one opportunities down the field to catch the football. It's been a pleasant surprise to see Nelson play so well toward the end stretch of our season.
An offense that has taken a while to kind of wake up in 2018 ends on a high note, a complete game against the Washington Redskins. The Eagles did what they wanted, and they made room for Nate Sudfeld to throw his first touchdown pass in the NFL and to get the football back. Do you have your first football?
I do have my first football. I watched that tape. It was up in Buffalo. I do have my first football, meaningful football for me.
Yeah, and so Nate Sudfeld starts his own collection.
There you go.
Brian
Congratulations.
Westbrook. Yeah, Brian Westbrook, Dave Spadaro. We thank you for joining us on Self Scout, presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. Have a happy and healthy and safe New Year's, everyone.